Another Monday and another JoeLumb album review. I am JoeLumb. Feel free to leave a comment, share this video, smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification bell whenever a new video is up. You're more than welcome to have a look at it for yourself. The Ultimate Sin, Ozzy Osbourne's fourth studio album. It's been close to a year since I reviewed an Ozzy album. The last one was Bark at the Moon, which got the most views out of any album review I've ever done. Apparently, this was Mr. Osbourne's least favorite album, and there's a lot to unpack here, which I'll explain. In 1985, Ozzy Osbourne underwent treatment for substance abuse at the Betty Ford Center. Upon his return, guitarist Jake E. Lee presented him with a substantial amount of music he wrote. That came after Lee felt he was cheated out of his writing and publishing claims from Bark at the Moon. Lee stated that he refused to do anything unless he had a contract in front of him promising him his songwriting and publishing rights. Much of the music would form the basis of what was to become The Ultimate Sin. The lyrics were largely written by Bob Daisley, a longtime bassist and lyricist for Ozzy. He had a falling out with him following a disagreement, so they brought in Greg Chasin, but he was quickly fired due to his image not fitting in. A few years later, Chasin and Lee would be part of Badlands with Ray Gillen. Anyway, Phil Soussan was handpicked as the bassist just before recording began. Future Megadeth drummer Jimmy DeGrasso worked with Lee and Daisley on demos for the album, but it all fell apart thanks to Ozzy's commitment to the 1985 reunion concert of Black Sabbath at Live Aid in the summer of '85. Randy Castillo and Phil Soussan had replaced Daisley and DeGrasso once recording commenced. The working title for this record was originally titled Killer of Giants. However, at the last minute, Ozzy changed it to The Ultimate Sin. After various tours in support for this record, Sharon Osbourne, who happened to be Ozzy's wife and manager, fired Jake E. Lee unexpectedly. Reasons for his termination remain unknown, but I bet it had a lot to do with Lee's demands for a share of songwriting royalties. I think it was the same thing with Phil Soussan, because he had departed soon after Lee's dismissal. Looking at the track listings here, all tracks are written by Ozzy, Bob Daisley, and Jake E. Lee, except for Shot in the Dark, written by Ozzy and Phil Soussan. The Ultimate Sin clocks in at 3:45. Secret Loser clocks in at 4:08. Never Know Why clocks in at 4:27. Thank God for the Bomb clocks in at 3:53. Never clocks in at 4:17. Lightning Strikes clocks in at 5:16. Killer of Giants clocks in at 5:41. Full Like You clocks in at 5:18. And Shot in the Dark clocks in at 4:16. It runs on 4:28 on the original vinyl and CD issues, but the single reissue in 1995 uses the 4:16 single edit. The Ultimate Sin was released on American soil on January 24th, 1986, and February 10th, 1986 in the UK. The record was produced by Ron Nevison and featured the hit single Shot in the Dark, along with Lightning Strikes and, of course, the title track, The Ultimate Sin. The album reached number 8 on the UK albums charts and number 6 on the Billboard 200, which was his highest charting studio effort at that time. That would soon be surpassed in 1995 by Osmosis. My overall rating for this album is a 5 out of 10. It was one of Ozzy's most successful studio outings, but the reasons why he hated it so much is mainly due to disputes with Jake E. Lee and Bob Daisley, not to mention a legal battle Phil Soussan had over a song he contributed on with Shot in the Dark. But other than that, this album could have ranked much higher if it wasn't for the creative and legal disputes Ozzy and Sharon had over the years with certain members of his band. But as far as the tracks go, The Ultimate Sin, Lightning Strikes, Thank God for the Bomb, Killer of Giants, and Shot in the Dark, to me, is a criminally underrated album from the Prince of Darkness.